tsunami warnings remain in place this morning, this after the huge earthquake yesterday. It was magnitude 8.8. Tremor struck off the coast of Kamchatka. This is in Russia, just before 11:30 yesterday morning, New Zealand time. It is the only quake over magnitude 8 this year and the first of this size since 2021. Japan issued evacuation orders while Hawaii urged locals to take urgent action to protect lives and property along coastal areas. Evacuations are now happening along the Pacific coast of South America. NEMA says New Zealand coastal areas can expect, quote, strong and unusual currents and unpredictable surges at the shore, and people in or near the sea should move out of the water, off the beaches, away from the shore, out of the harbours, the marinas, the rivers and the estuaries. Auckland Emergency Management opened 4 civil defence shelters for residents who live on boats overnight. John Ristow is the seismologist at Earth Sciences New Zealand, Ristow, forgive me, and joins me from Wellington. John, good morning. John, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you just loud and clear. So let's start with the size of this earthquake. How does it rate? How big was it? But also, why so little damage?
So there's a few things. So first off, if we just talk about the size of the earthquake, it was magnitude 8.8 earthquake is the best estimates that we have right now. So this puts it as one of the most powerful earthquakes that we've recorded since we've had seismic instruments in the early part of the 20th century. You know, kind of goes up into the top 10. One advantage that this earthquake had in terms of not causing much damage and impact is that area of Russia. When you're talking, over in Kamchatka, there's not it's not a heavily populated area, so there was a little less direct damage from the earthquake itself. And as far as impacts from the tsunami, it's what some of our modeling is showing is that a lot of the slip. So this was an earthquake where you have one plate that's pushing underneath another plate like this, and a lot of the slip may have happened quite like a little bit deeper on where it's pushing, where the Pacific plate is pushing beneath the North American plate in this case. Which may have lessened the impacts of the tsunami.
Right. So it's to do with, because there's a slip and then there's a thrust earthquake, well, from what I can understand. And this was a slip one.
Yes. So when we talk about slip, we're just talking about the amount of movement on the fault, and it could like whatever direction it's moving.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when it slips, you don't actually know. You know there's been a slip, but you're not actually sure how much has slipped. And is that why it's so hard to work out exactly how big a tsunami might be?
Yes. Well, the amount of slip, we probably have a pretty good handle that. Like you'd be talking in an earthquake like this, 10 meters of slip or more even. It's just a question of did most of that slip happen shallow near the surface or deeper? And in this case, much of the slip may have happened a bit deeper, which would lessen the amount of so what happens in a tsunami? Yeah. So when it slips, then you get the seafloor surface moves a great deal. And then that displaces the water in the ocean, and you get a tsunami. But if the amount of slip happens deeper, you get less seafloor displacement, and therefore a smaller tsunami.
Will there be a time where we will be able to better predict how big the tsunami might be, how big the wave might be?
Yeah, well, we get better all the time as we get more and more instruments that are in place along coasts, and particularly one of the things that really helps us is what we have is a system of dart buoys. So that's a system of ocean buoys that are all over that we have around the Pacific Ocean and in other oceans around the world too, but mainly the Pacific Ocean. And so we can track the tsunami as it's traveling across the ocean. And so that's one of our best ways at modeling the tsunami and how big the tsunami is going to be once it starts hitting these dart buoys.
Okay.
And as we get more of them, and as we get more sophisticated modeling techniques, more powerful computers, we can become a little bit better at this.
Do we have some here in New Zealand? Do we need more? Would it help?
Well, so New Zealand actually, yeah, at Earth Sciences New Zealand, we do operate our own network of dart buoys. We've got several that are around the coastline of New Zealand and north through the Kermadec up to Raoul Island, past Raoul Island, and also out into the South Pacific.
Okay. Were you surprised at how this event unfolded, John?
No, not really surprised. So the initial magnitude estimates that came out for this earthquake first came out as magnitude 8. And so at the level of magnitude 8, we weren't concerned about a tsunami threat to New Zealand. But then when it went up to 8.7, that's when we, of course, had to immediately reassess what the threat level was, and realized then that there was a threat. And so to go from 8 to 8.7 for earthquakes like this, first off, these earthquakes are very uncommon to be that size, but to have this big jump in magnitudes like that, if the earthquake is that big, that actually is quite a normal thing. Because to actually get a handle on the size, how big an earthquake like this is, we have to actually have recorded quite a bit of seismic data, and especially data at very low frequencies, very long periods. And it takes a while for that information to get through to all the stations, and that we can use kind of better modeling techniques to calculate the magnitude of the earthquake.
Chance of aftershocks, or potentially more tsunami alerts?
Well, there have been a lot of aftershocks already in the region, 5s and 6s. But as far as potential for another tsunami alert, yeah, we'll just have to see how it unfolds. It would have to be another earthquake kind of similar size to this one to get that. But as far as the current tsunami threat level that we have, so we're expecting, that we're still going to be at higher alert, at least through midday today, because tsunamis, they kind of arrive in waves over a long period of time, and later arrivals for the tsunami can actually be larger than the initial arrivals. So we have seen tsunami arrivals at all of our tide gauges around New Zealand and in the Chatham Islands. So there definitely was a tsunami that was produced and a tsunami that has hit New Zealand. Fortunately, it's been kind of at the lower end of what our modeling showed. So New Zealand has come out in pretty good shape as far as that's concerned. But you still have to be concerned, yes, about these strong currents and unpredictable surges that can happen. And in particular, there's going to be places where you're in little harbors and bays around the country or around the Chathams where things can get amplified, and the tsunami can actually end up being larger than what we are generally seeing.
John, appreciate you coming on this morning. Hopefully that's the end of the kerfuffle, the commotion. John Ristow, I should say. Ristow, seismologist at Earth Sciences New Zealand.